All right, in this episode of Bowks Talking Bouts, very excited to be talking to an individual who is set up for quite the intriguing fight going down on August the 21st when Impa Kasanganay steps into the PFL Smart Cage against Andrew Sanchez. And great having Andrew back on Bowks Talking Bouts after a decent little while. How are you doing though, man? You having a solid day so far?
Having a good day, just getting the rest of this weight off. Weigh-ins are on Wednesday, so getting to be that time. But besides that, it's a beautiful day. Like I said earlier, I live up in the mountains, 9,000 feet, small little town, 120 population. So nice, clear skies, not a lot of people. You can see the moose running around. You can see, bears coming to my house every day. It's a really beautiful place, peaceful. So I'm doing well. How about you? How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great, man. I appreciate you asking, but that sounds like a very serene place to be. Is it like a good change of pace from maybe some prior places that you've lived at over the years?
Yeah, the older I get, the more I kind of want to escape from the city and, get out into nature. And that's kind of where we're meant to be. And not too long ago, I had my first daughter, and that changed a lot. And we don't want to raise her in the city, with all the influence. There's a lot of negative stuff and influence, and we want to raise her in nature. Uh, yeah, so that was kind of part of the decision to move up here, and it's really been a blessing. So yeah.
That sounds great, man. And I did see a post you had a couple weeks ago kind of referencing that. And congratulations, by the way, welcoming baby daughter into the world and everything. And within that post, I saw you were saying at the time you were unofficially retired from MMA, but then said God had other plans. And you talk about the life shifting unexpectedly. Like, was your baby daughter coming into the world what I guess got you to, I guess get back into the MMA space and stuff like that?
Uh,
Because, like I said, unofficially retired. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it kind of is what got me out of it, to be honest,
Hmm.
because I needed, you gotta. MMA is a tough, tough business, right? It's hard to make a career out of this. You can make money, and I do, and it's all good, but it's not steady. You're looking for that next fight. People could back out. Like it's really finicky. So I decided basically to be a firefighter, and I was in the fire academy um, for the last like 6 months. This is what I was doing, um, and we had some tough stuff happen with the family, um, and I had to take like a bit of a leave, and that turned into I was gone for too long, and it was kind of a mess. So it just didn't quite work out, and it's just funny how right then, right at that very moment, all this stuff was going down. I got this offer to fight Impa. It's almost like I really believe things happen for a reason. That's truly what it felt like. So I kind of like gave it all up for a while. I was still training, and I was in tremendous shape because this is like a military boot camp. This stuff is no joke. So I was in great shape. Um, Turns out the fire academy this wasn't going to work out at the moment, and then I got this opportunity to fight, and I just ran with it. And to be honest, you know, I did want to retire for my daughter and for the security, and to start a new chapter. Um, but I always in the back of my mind, I could have done more, right? I could have done more, and that's no way to go out. So it's almost like it's quite a blessing to have another. It's almost like another chance. And to be honest, letting go of that, like it was really hard, right? It's like it's like a burning away, something in your soul, right? Something you've loved for so long. This is all I was. This is all I did, and to let that go and it's very freeing, right? And then now to come back, I don't have the same almost like burden of I have to win because this stuff was my identity. This is who I was, and I would highly recommend do not make fighting your identity if you are a fighter or whatever you are. If you're a journalist or a football player, whatever that's not you. We are much more than that as human beings. Um, so yeah, so now I almost get a second chance. It's like a death and rebirth, right? And this is like the uh, to really start fresh and to like become more of the person that you can, or the next chapter in life, you have to kind of like let part of your old self die. And that's what I did. And now I'm back, and I'm super grateful for the opportunity, regardless of, I had to let go of the fire thing and all this. It's like, I don't know, I just really, something feels like I was meant to be in this situation fighting Impa. So here I am.
Yeah, and that wording of, death and rebirth and kind of things in that kind of vein. I did see that in another post that you had, and you were also, I guess, talking about how, I guess, like big ego and I guess personal insecurity or even fear of losing were always aspects of things that would lead to, I guess, downfalls per your
Yeah.
wording in the post. Like, I guess, how did you go about doing that? I mean, I would imagine to be a gradual process for sure. Like perhaps becoming a father helps with the subverting of that kind of ego piece. Like, how did you, I guess, go about managing all that?
I mean, I think it almost just like what I just said with as far as giving it all up, and yes, becoming a father, like having different priorities, something other than yourself. It's tough to live for yourself, man. It's just like a hedonistic. I want more, 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 right? And going back to that, fighting my identity, right? Because like, okay, I was a kid, I was a young kid, I was a weird kid, I was picked on, didn't fit in. I started fighting, like most guys, to kind of become something in the world, right? You want to raise your, I guess, place in society, right? But that's all fake, man. Behind all that, I'm just like the same kid, the same dude. We're all right. This is just like a facade we put on, and it's great, and it's wonderful that I get to do that and fight, right? And but behind that, what's behind that, right? I'm just the same kid that I always was. So, um, yeah, just going through life and going through the failures and fighting and the failures in life and the failures, what happened in the fire academy, and just letting all these things go basically, and starting new and having new motivation through my daughter and having a family. um, it's really nice to not have to fight because I want to elevate my status in the world, right? Like I have something bigger and better to live for. So I guess that's where, yeah, it takes away a lot of the pressure of I have to do this for whatever, my own thing, my own. It's not about me anymore. So it's really freeing.
And I guess as much as it is a short notice fight in as far as like the timeline for it, I would think that based on what you're saying, you would be in a much more, I guess, optimal headspace heading into something like this to maybe where the performance is a little more, I guess, free
Yeah.
flowing and not as encumbered by some of the prior
Yeah,
hindrances you kind of
yeah, you
outlined.
said it, man. Free flowing, because that's the one thing I kind of messed up in my career, as I would just think so much, and I would train so hard and train too much and overtrain, and like and it was my downfall because I had to win for myself, because I this was what I built my whole ego and personality on. Right now, it's like, and you know what I discovered later in my career? 'Cause I was always scared to take short notice fights. I wanted to, like, have the perfect camp. It's 8 weeks, whatever. But that's all kind of nonsense. You don't need eight weeks, right? So later in my career, I started taking short notice fights, and I'm like, this is great because I'm not totally burnt out. It hasn't been 8 to 12 weeks where I'm burnt out mentally, physically. I'm fresh. You just need a few weeks to get in shape, like fight shape. If you're already in like good baseline shape. And I realized, like, because I had people pull out on me, and then you get the stress of who's it going to be, who's it going to be, and then you get this new opponent, and you may like it, you may not. So I think it's better to be the short notice guy stepping in, right? Because I haven't had this stress of having to think I have a fight coming up. Oh my, I have to win. I haven't had that stress. I've been just training, staying fit in the fire academy, working on technique, doing my thing, and just free, right? No stress. And then boom, you're gonna fight in a month. Okay, turn it up for a month, get the weight off, get your mind right, and go. And I feel super fresh. I feel like I've been working on like freely what I need to work on, almost having fun with it. And even though I've been busy in the fire academy, I've still been training MMA throughout the entire time. And been having fun with it, and I have improved quite a bit. So I'm very excited. I feel like I don't know, it's just something feels real good about this. Um, but you said it, the word free flowing. That's what I feel like. I'm that's where I'm at right now. That's when I get into the cage. That's what I want to do. I don't care about winning and losing so much anymore. Basically, I just want to let it fly. Because first of all, winning and losing, thinking about this doesn't help the situation at all, right? It's gonna limit your performance. If you can go in there, like all you can do is train to the maximum leading up to the fight, do everything you can do. And if you've done that, once you step in the cage, it's like no thought or anything's going to help you. It's in God's hands at that point. And you have to just let it go and just free flow, right? Be in the moment and let it fly. And if you do that, you're going to have a much better performance and you're not going to have the regrets, right? Of like, I got to win, so I'm going to try not to lose. And so I'm just going to just let it fly, man. And let's see where the pieces fall.
And it's cool to see how certain things play out as well, because this was a few years ago when you were fighting under the Eagle FC banner. Like you had a post even around then where you were saying, Impa Kasanganay, I see you. Let's make this fight happen. Just cool that it's coming to fruition now and stuff like that.
Yeah, it is funny. It's like I feel like we are supposed to fight multiple times or almost kind of fought, and it never quite happened. And then I thought I was never going to fight again. And here I am. It's like, you're going to fight Impa, very kind of coincidental. And yeah, and I've met Impa and I like Impa. I think he's a good guy. He's got a good purpose, he's a good story. So I do respect Impa. I think he's a good fighter. I think we're both good fighters, and it's gonna be a good fight. It's gonna be a good fight, and whoever shows up on that day, and um, like I said, it's in God's hands. So
And it seems like you're very emboldened to be, taking on a former PFL champion in his hometown, no less. Because I saw you had a post talking about how you live for this. So yeah, just love to see that piece too.
I live for it. I've always kind of identified with with the warrior or being a warrior. Like I'm not whatever. I'm not like some. I'm striving to be kind of that. It's always been my life path and kind of purpose. And yeah, it's just the more kind of the high stakes, the more almost dangerous, the more whatever the odds are stacked against me. It something about that gets me fired up. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. I like it. I want it. So yeah, man, we're going to short notice, going to former champ, hometown. Um, I like this, right? This kind of this feeds my fire. It makes me feel alive inside. So yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah, no, I love that, man. And then even during that kind of period we've outlined earlier in the chat where you were like unofficially retired from MMA, it still seemed like you were very much involved in it. And I guess I bring up the what looked like the cornering of Neil Magny. Like I saw a couple photos there, and you
Oh,
were
yeah.
talking about how much you love to be a part of his journey, just the winningest welterweight in UFC history. Can you kind of speak to, I guess, the connectivity with Neil Magny? Because it seems like you guys have a good bond with each other.
Yeah, like, about when I had my baby and all that, I started coaching, getting into coaching, and um, yeah, I really enjoy it. I really enjoy it. And I was coaching here at a gym in Denver, pound for pound MMA, and yeah, and Neil, and it started to grow. It started small, but it started to grow, and got a heck of a group now, and it's really rewarding to be able to give back. I got some years in me, and I'm gonna go fight, and I hope to do things that you know I was never able to do in the past. I want to become a champion, but after it's all said and done, like I want to give back, especially to kids, like kids like 13, like around that age, kind of middle school, high school. Because I was like I was one of those kids. I was getting in trouble. I was having a real hard time. I think that's a real hard time for young boys. And MMA is something that pulled me out, and that's the story with a lot of these fighters. MMA, kind of helped them grow into the person they are and pulled them out of getting in trouble or getting picked on or whatever it may be. So I do love coaching, but yeah. So Neil came in, and Neil's obviously an old vet, man. He's a legend. I got so much respect for the guy, and um, but I did feel like when he came in, he's kind of like his wrestling was it needed some work. It's one of the areas that wasn't as polished, and he really, he's a nasty wrestler now, right? He's really come along. I guess he really took to my style or personality or whatever, and he showed up every week to my class, every week, and he just soaked it in like a sponge. And now he's, yeah, it's a different fighter. And the thing about Neil is he like wrestling's hard because it gets you tired, right? So some guys will like shoot and wrestle and they'll do great in the first round, then they blow their load and they're tired. Neil Magny never gets tired. It's like a Khabib thing. Like Khabib is a great wrestler, but he also never gets tired, and that's a huge aspect of this, right? And the other guy gasses out. So Neil becoming a really offensive, aggressive wrestler is like it's a nightmare for anybody, especially like in a 5-round type of fight. So
Yeah, well
anyway,
said.
yeah, I've been cornering. I cornered him his last 3 fights. Super, super blessed and grateful to be there, and I respect the guy so much, and it's so humbling that he would take my advice also, and listen to me as a coach, because he has so much he could also teach me. He's been around as much, if not longer longer than me. So, and the first 2 fights we went to, they didn't go so well. He lost them both. And then this last fight, the third fight, he went out there, he put on a beautiful performance, got a beautiful finish, and it was pretty emotional for me. So, yeah, I love that guy. And he's such a good dude. You see his interviews, like that's just how he is. He's always positive. He's one of the hardest workers I've ever met. He really puts in the hours and time, and he's just a humble, good dude. So I'm really happy to be part of Neil's camp.
Yeah, I love to see that dynamic there. It's really cool for sure. Just that exchange of, I guess, martial arts insights and whatnot. But I did mention how established he has been historically in the welterweight division. And I mean, you also mentioned Habib before as like a reference point. And I know you have a prior history of working out of AKA, which, Islam Makhachev, a big name out of that camp. And he's moving up to welterweight. Like, do you have any particular thoughts on that Islam Makhachev, Jack Della Maddalena fight they're targeting for later in the year?
Uh, Not really, to be honest. I trained at AKA, trained around the Russians, but they're kind of like close. They have their own like group, their own clique. I wasn't really in with them in that way. I mean, I think he's an incredible fighter, incredible wrestler. I couldn't imagine Madalena stopping his offensive wrestling, to be honest. But I don't have too much to say on that.
No, that's fair enough, man. And I mean, I feel like one of the bigger wins that you got in your UFC tenure, I guess, just even in terms of how it's kind of like aged since, was that Khalil Rountree victory that saw you become the tough 23 champion and everything. I guess I bring that up to maybe see if you had any thoughts on his Jiri Prohaska fight coming up at UFC 320 later this year.
I mean, Khalil's nasty, man. You see, he's knocking everyone out now. Jamal Hill, he just put out, um, and Yuri's good. He's tricky. He's funky, but I think Khalil has better fundamentals. I don't imagine. I mean, Yuri might try and take him down, but I trained with him not too long ago. Actually, a couple years ago when I fought in PFL, I went back to Syndicate and we trained, and um, he's not easy to take down now. So I do have my money on Khalil. He's just so athletic, explosive, and like good fundamentals. I think better fundamentals than Yuri, and that's what it comes down to. Fundamentals, like Hank Hill says. The King of the Hill, man. You know what I'm talking about. King of the Hill, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's funny you say that. I've been exposing my girlfriend to that recently. Like she had never seen it before, and
Oh,
she's
really?
just loving it. So yeah, no, it's great. I love that show, man. It's fantastic stuff.
Yeah. Propane and propane accessories.
I'll tell you what, I'm gonna kick your ass.
Right. That's right.
Yeah, no, I love that, man. And yeah, just you've trained at so many exemplary gyms over the years. Like you mentioned Syndicate, we talked about, AKA TriStar. Like whereabouts are you at nowadays? Like you mentioned going to Syndicate not really all that long ago, but where is your, I guess, predominant place of training
Well,
at this juncture?
so I live in Black Hawk, which is an hour from Denver, and I drive to the city like every day, and I train. Right now, I'm doing my camp at Genesis and pound for pound Muay Thai. Um, Train at Landau, which is strength and conditioning place in the city. But uh, yeah, typically I do a lot of cross training. I go around where the partners are, and then when I have camp, I kind of settle down and stick to, like I said, Genesis and pound for pound. These two gyms where you know I have my coaches and training partners, and you can kind of develop a good game plan. So that's where I'm at. But yeah, I've been around a lot, man. I've been to a lot of different gyms, and you could say that's good or bad, whatever, but that's just what I felt like I needed to do. I needed to go out and kind of find new looks and new things, and maybe some of that was for new experiences too. I'm not gonna lie, I do kind of like to bounce around in my younger days, and I think that can be a downfall. Too much bouncing around. You need that solid, almost like family structure and support. And if you're just a free roamer, you don't have that. You don't have that. So I think I'm much more like grounded now here. I got my family, I have my coaches and my people, and feels much more solid. Almost like, I don't know, mentally, spiritually, which is super, super important. So yeah.
Yeah, there's a certain interesting, almost like, I guess, quasi synchronicity because you were talking about before about, oh, I really want to win like a major title. Like my path is kind of oriented to that now in a sense. But I thought it was kind of interesting that we've kind of, I guess, even a week ago, as of this recording, past that decade anniversary of when you won the RFA title. And that seemed like a very special, redemptive moment for you and everything like that and whatnot.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's just past the 10-year mark, you said?
Yeah, it was August 7th, 2015 that transpired.
Huh. That is interesting. Synchronicities, huh? I don't think there are coincidences. And yeah, I haven't been like a straight to the top, it's like, which is everyone's like up and down and up and down. And you have success, and then boom, you got to kind of check yourself, and the world and the universe checks you and puts you in your place. And so I've had a lot of that in my life, and recently everything that's been going on, the same kind of thing with yeah, letting go of the career of fighting, and yeah, death and rebirth. So this would be a redemptive win, and man, there's nothing better than that. Like you can go and win, if you just win all the time. In college when I wrestled, like I started out in high school, I wasn't that good. I wrestled a couple years. I went to state. I lost. It wasn't. I was heartbroken, but I wanted to be something so bad, right? Something in the world. So I just worked so hard, like insanely hard. And I got to college, and I ended up being like, national champ eventually. And this was the greatest accomplishment. I could just die in this moment and be happy. And there was another guy who was the laziest person you could ever imagine. It was so absurd. And he just had the incredible genetics, I guess. He didn't do anything all year. He trained hard, maybe 2 weeks at the end of the year. Went and won nationals, like tech fault everyone. It's crazy. And he just kind of like hops off the mat and he's like, "Yep, every dog has its." It didn't mean anything to him. Like it was cool. His ego was inflated. He felt good about himself, but like it did not mean what it meant. Not mean to him what it meant to me. Right. This was everything. This was like everything. So it's the same kind of thing, like all these hard times, and then you overcome that, and you get a great redemptive victory. When you think it's all lost, then you get to come back and rise above and do something great. It's like the reward is so much greater when the path is difficult, I guess. So that's kind of where I'm at. And yeah, everything that's transpired in the last like month, I don't want to go into it, but and then if I could come out and be victorious in this moment, it's going to be a very special time. So praying, that's all I can do. Pray and train and do everything leading up to the fight.
Yeah, I mean, that even articulates a certain something with your wrestling journey too. Because I remember the first time we were talking, I kind of touched on how important that moment was when you took to the podium at the 2011 NAIA Wrestling Championships and everything like that. Seemed like a massive moment and just such a journey in the, I guess,
Yeah.
context you outlined.
You know why it was so awesome is because I didn't believe I could ever do anything like this. When I was a kid, it was a rough time. I never thought I would amount to that, right? I just wanted to, at first it's like, oh, if I could just play some state or something, I could be somebody, and and then I got to college and I just outworked everybody I knew, and before I knew it, I was a national champion and then a two-time national champ, and every time it's like you're overcoming your own disbelief in yourself. That's my journey, anyways, overcoming my own, yeah, and because I'm like, wow, I didn't think I was even capable of this, but now after all these years, it's like we are all capable of so much more than we could ever imagine. Um, so I'm still on that same path of trying to maybe prove myself wrong. I don't know, but reach new levels that once seemed impossible, especially as little Andrew, right? The young boy who never believed in himself. Now I believe in myself, um, but there's still higher levels to climb. It's unlimited. I believe human potential. So that's what I'm going for.
And it seems you're at such a great balance. Like, obviously, you're a very cerebral, analytical person, but it seems like you've struck that good balance of not getting into that, I guess, like paralysis by analysis phrase that a lot of people tend to use in those type of situations. Like, it just seems like you're in a very good, comprehensive place all around. So, to that point, great that I was able to catch you at this juncture and talk to you a bit, Andrew. But I do want to be mindful of your time. I've been talking your ear off for a little bit now. So I figured I'd give you the floor if you had a final parting thought you maybe wanted to add as we're kind of wrapping things up here. I really do appreciate you coming on Bowks Talking Bouts today.
Yeah, yeah. I appreciate you having me on. It's been a while since I've done an interview. I honestly don't like interviews. I'm very introverted. I don't like putting myself out there, especially not to the entire internet. It's always a little strange to me. And, you know, in the past, I'd really put on my mask and try and just kind of get through it and sound cool. And so I'm trying to be more open up and be more, show more of who I am, I guess. And parting words, I don't know. You know, there's more to life than all this. That's what I'll say. There is a God. There's a spiritual realm. There's more than meets the eye. That's all I got.
I think that's a great parting thought, man. It seems like something that Impa would probably say is a parting thought too. Like, just I've interviewed him a few times. I feel like he'd probably
Yeah.
go in that direction too.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, nothing's. That's the greatest question. What greater question is that? Like, what happens after we die? Where do we come from? What are we here for? Right. These are the questions that everyone needs to ask. So, um, that's what I'm searching for. Right. Always searching for more understanding and truth.
Yeah, well, it's been cool to follow along with your story so far, man, and many more chapters to unfurl within that, both professionally and personally, and at least in the professional sense, that next step on August 21st. And really excited to see this PFL fight against Impa Kasanganay, like we've said in the chat, kind of a long time coming for sure, but super appreciate, the time and everything. Andrew, all the best with the remainder of all the last minute measures kind of heading into the fight as we're kind of, I guess, a week out from it as of this recording. And yeah, thanks so much for coming on Bowks Talking Bouts. I'll peep the fight when it goes down and thoroughly enjoy it, I'm sure. And until then, you have a good rest of your day, man. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for having me. Take care.